you know, all his remote it's live. So it shows live on my end.
Okay, here we go. It looks like it's going to go now. Let's see.
Shows live.
Yep, we're good now.
Cool, man.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Dustin Coiner from TrackDaz, and I'm talking to the Superbike genius right here, Richard Stanboli, Make Bikes Go Fast guy. So what's up, Richard?
Oh, just coming to you live from our engine room. So I got mixed up and be in the engine room stuff. That's pretty quiet. Got a bad echo in there or no?
No, it's that room is pretty dead silent.
Oh yeah, it's well insulated. You could use
so you know, just looking at what happened this weekend, I don't know if you want to talk about, like, you know, in order of how the practice sessions went or
Sure.
what, but you know, I did watch everything, and you know, I did see some things that I thought were pretty interesting. So, you know, before the event, you had told me that you were building Jake a swing arm. So how'd that go?
Went good. He really liked it. It was we didn't put it on until day 2.
Okay.
You can kind of see it in the results. He did QP1 and QP2, and then on day 2 we switched to the to our swing arm, and yeah, he thought the bike was a little more stable in the World Superbike piece, and offered about the same amount of grip, but the stability was better, so it was easier for him to ride the motorcycle, not so squirrely.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he found something between day 1 and day 2. That's for sure.
Well, part of it was swing arm. Yeah, part of it was swing arm. The other part of it was still trying to figure out what the rider needs to get around the corners. You know, so it's always something really peculiar with the rider themselves. You know, like their corner entry might be a little different. They open the throttle a little different. They hold the brake a little longer or shorter, and all that affects how the bike goes around the corner. So still working that out with Jake. I know once we find that perfect combo for him, he's going to rail. But you know, with Cameron, it's pretty easy. He has a good combo, and you leave it, and he finishes P1 every session, and then you experiment a little bit to see if we can go a little faster.
Yeah. So, you know, looking at the practice sessions, I did notice one of the things I noticed on both the bikes actually is just the sheer speed of your guys' bikes. You know, I mean, I watched Jake in practice that first session just rip past the BMW that's out there like it was tacked to the floor.
Man, I'm telling you, those bikes are, you could build that same engine. I mean, we have one here. It's a little more radiator and things like that, electronics, but it is basically a stock engine. You know, I mean, with a little more compression, a little bit of porting, and drop-in cams from YUC, you know, or GYTR. They call it GYTR now. But I mean, that's all it is. So it's, I mean, the bike's pretty incredible, rather than showroom floor. So I think it's the combination, like we talked about last time. It's the combination of speed and agility. You know, and you know, I'm saying, like, get around the corners fast, the bike's fast on the straightaway.
Yeah, so I think Jake ended up that first session like 3rd or 2nd, maybe. I think he was as high as 2nd.
Yeah, he was 2nd quite a bit in the sessions. I think it was the main deal that weekend was obviously Cameron, and then Bobby showed some flair on the Suzuki, and then of course it was Jake. You know, so yeah, I was surprised that Bobby went as good as he did the 2nd round, but that's good. You know, I like to have some competition in there. It gets to be.
Oh, for sure. You know, I was actually going to point out later in our thing that it was good to see Kyle out there on the Ducati even up front. You know.
Yeah, I like that too.
That dude's probably not used to seeing Tony Elias.
Yeah, you know, Tony just hasn't found his groove yet. Hopefully he does, because it's always a lot of fun to have it mix up, of course, as long as we win.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend kind of proved that Cam's human, right?
Yeah, he is human.
Yeah,
made a little error in race 2, and you know, we were kind of pushing each other, honestly, and maybe we shouldn't have been pushing that hard, but he was pushing himself. We're always trying some things. You know, obviously he went 10.6, which is a lap record by a ways, and no one else was in the 10s. Right. And you know, I think maybe he had the capability of doing a 9, and it just the combination maybe was just pushing a little bit too hard, going that corner and just hit that bump just right. And we put on a different front tire. So we're kind of you know, progressing over to race 2, but we put on a different front tire, and maybe he just didn't have a feel for it quite yet. He only did one session in the morning with it. And so it might have been just a little bit more twitchy on the slide versus the one that was a step harder.
Right. So going back to the practices. Okay. So the first session out, you know, Cameron, you know what, is it just me, or does it just not look like Cam does a lot of track time in the practice sessions?
No, he actually, if you look at the lap count, it just looks that way because maybe the camera's not on the whole time.
Right.
The lap count, he's as high as anyone. I think he came in once and QP
Okay.
one.
Yeah, well, watching the broadcast, it's like, dude, he just goes out and does a lap and throws down on everybody. Like, how does he do that? But I guess that's okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think we did 9 or 10 laps in that session, maybe even 12. For Road America being that long of a track, it's really double the length of a normal racetrack.
So the first practice session, Jake looked like he was, you know, that dude's he's just a much more physical rider. Like, he's got the rear end, backing it in, and, you know, he's wheeling and shit. It looks awesome on TV. But he's like a much more physical looking rider on the bike than Cameron is. And it looked like he ran off or something, or he's, you know, on TV it said he felt like he was running out of gas, Jake. Like, he pulled off, or like the bike kept shutting off on him.
Yeah, we had a bad button in the ignition switch. one of those little, you know, round buttons you push in and out, you see on all the MotoGP bikes and World Superbikes, and, you know, everyone's buying them nowadays to replace their regular thumb switches. Yeah, so we had a button that went bad. It was intermittently turning off. So it acted like it had a fuel starvation problem that we came in, and I think that was in QP2. No, it was QP1, because we didn't really go out in QP2 because it was just drizzling. Right. It was just drizzling enough where, you know, the rest of the weekend, and normally we'd go out in the wet. For sure, I would like my riders to go out in the wet and get some wet time, but the weather was looking so good for the rest of the weekend, it just didn't make any sense. Yeah,
I figured that's what you were going to say. I actually wrote that down in my notes. Why didn't you go out? Like, it wasn't worth it or whatever, right? No need to risk the equipment for something that's you're not going to race in. Right?
Well, I'm not a believer in we're risking any more in the wet. You know, the wet's just the wet. You just go smoother, slower. I mean, Cameron should be the guy to beat because he's so smooth anyway in the dry. But doing the wet is the same thing as doing the dry. I think you take more risk in the dry, honestly. And it's just when you have tracks that are not made for the wet, that's when you have a problem. Like, you have paint lines that are really slippery, and the guy runs wide a little bit, hits a paint line, whoop, there he goes. Yeah. You know, but honestly, the wet tires are so good nowadays. You can go out and you know, with a tall knee puck, you can drag your knee, and as long as you're smooth, there's nothing to it. You know, and as long as you have really good electronics as well.
So Cameron, basically from the jump, he just like he had everybody covered, it seemed like. And, you know, he just all season so far, every time out on the bikes and everyone's out, like, Cameron looks like he's just ahead of everybody. And, you know, what is it about that dude? I mean, last time you explained it, well, he's just Cameron. Like,
he's just, you know, we found a good setup for him early on. When he hopped on our bike, he really liked electronics versus what he was using last year. It's a little more controlled. Last year's bike, I think I've said this before, was just more of a rider's, more lively, I think is the way the guys put it. You know, so you touch the throttle and spins the tire, and you have to be really on your best behavior with the thing. Right. And so this year it's a lot more dumbed down, you know, so he can be more aggressive with it and longer aggression in the race. And so that's kind of where everyone's going with the street bikes anyway. That's where everything's going with the race bikes. It's 600 in the corner and a liter bike in straightaways, you know, makes it super easy to ride. So Cameron's been really comfortable on the motorcycle, and everything we've thrown at him, he's adapted to well. And yeah, I mean, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's been P1 in every session except for the ones he didn't ride.
Pretty much. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, you know, in that first round of practice, he did kind of run off the track for a second. I didn't know what that was about, if he had a moment or something. But you know, it was just like, you know, it looked like he blew the chicane, and I don't know if he was just needing to get back to make an adjustment or what.
Yeah, he did go through the chicane, didn't he? I don't think it was anything important. I think maybe he just blew the chicane. I think he got
You
in
know
there
what else
hot.
I've been seeing on all the broadcasting stuff? It looks like Jake Zimke's been hanging out a lot in you guys' pit. So, is Jake Cameron's coach, or what's the deal there?
Jake's Cameron's manager.
Oh, okay.
Jake's a rider manager, and he manages Cameron. I think he manages Matthew, and can't remember who else he manages. He might have managed Bobby, but I'm not sure. I think Hayes has been working with Bobby. But anyway, he manages a few riders in the paddock, and obviously Cameron's kind of his star. So he's in there sometimes, giving him some pointers.
Yeah.
But like everything else, Jake used to be a factory rider, and he's got a lot of good pointers, and some stuff works for him, and some stuff works for
I did see him at that test in Buttonwillow at the end of last year.
Yeah.
He's been around a lot. So
yeah, no, I like Jake. I get along with him great. So he's good to have in the pit.
Yeah, he's a good dude for sure.
Yeah.
And the team that you guys are supporting, Scholte's going good too, man.
Yeah, they struggled a bit this weekend. They were playing around some different engine combinations, I think.
Yeah.
But we try to help those guys out because we want them in there. We finished 1, 2, 3 last time.
Looks good on the magazine or whatever.
Oh yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, and then race 2 last time it was all of our product, which was on that BMW as well, but it wasn't all Yamahas. It was 2 Yamahas and a Beamer. But I think they're going good. I think he'll be really strong in Atlanta. Though he goes really well there.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed about Scholtz is style. Cam looks like he's on rails. He looks like he's just out for a cup of coffee or whatever. Jake looks like he's a fighter. Like he wants to just,
Yeah,
you got Scholtz doing the leg dangle thing everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't catch Schultz's fighting style after that race 2, but apparently he was having a nice punch out with Tony.
Yeah, well, I would imagine so.
Yeah, no, they got a little physical apparently.
Oh, did they? Oh
yeah,
yeah. That.
You didn't know that? Well, I guess they might be trying to keep it quiet. I have no idea.
It's whatever. Like,
I don't care.
It sucks.
Our riders are calm.
Tony's right there. Like he's one of those dudes that should be in the front, and it's just sad just watching him struggle. Because he's better than that.
I like him a lot. He's a really nice guy off the bike.
Yeah.
He's an animal on the bike. And, he's got that hot-tempered Latin thing going on. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I mean, after he fell down, he picked that bike up like it was nothing. I watched Cameron. I'm like, man, we got to get Cameron in the gym. He's taking a while to pick our motorcycle up. And I think Tony was so pissed, he just picked that thing right up and rode it again.
Oh man.
I would have ran around the racetrack with it. He was so pissed off.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's see. Oh yeah. So while you guys were hanging out and 3 bikes were on track during the rain, it's pretty funny. The camera, the announcer dude, I guess the announcer dude in the practice is also the announcer at the racetrack too, right? It's because they spoke over the PA and Jake responded and did the whole blue steel thing.
Yeah, so, I didn't catch that. I think
oh my God, it was hilarious. Like on cue, he just did the blue steel thing into the camera. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I missed it.
Cameron did say that he's super physically fit, and he says that there was a dog. Look at that.
Yeah, duct tape, man. I'm telling you, duct tape will fix that.
He says that you got the electronics dialed, and he says that he said some stuff about how dedicated you are, and that even at the hotel after practice or after the races, you're in the hotel trying to dial the electronics to be even better.
Well, we're always looking at that stuff, So I take the computer back to the hotel with me. After we stop at the restaurant and do a couple of different things with the team, like after race 1, we had a little tiny celebration, not much, but back to the hotel we went, and what are you gonna do at a hotel? Just work on the bike. Plus, it's fun. It's fun to look at all that stuff. Sleep.
Yeah, sleep.
No, we don't need to sleep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the other guys can sleep. We'll concentrate on winning.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you have it. Everyone else can concentrate on sleeping and
sleeping.
yeah,
That's right. Hey, 2 or 3 hours, I'm ready to rock and roll.
nice. So how was it? This one was different than the first round because you guys had fans there.
Yeah, the fans were good. There was a lot of fans there, and it felt like there was no pandemic. I mean, there was literally, I don't think I saw one person wearing a mask. I think the team was only people wearing masks. But I think Sheboygan had almost no cases, very, very few. So it's a pretty safe area to be in. But yeah, for sure, the fans were not as socially distanced as I thought they might be, but it was pretty good to have fans there. I think they're all really excited to be there. One thing funny was Cameron said, "Hey man, can you give me a switch to turn off the wheelie control? I really want to do some wheelies, after the race."
Yeah.
So
I approve of that message.
so apparently, I forgot to send it to the bike. So he went over, pushed up to minimum wheelie control, and it wasn't zero. So he's trying to pull up on the thing and it won't wheelie. He goes, "Man, I felt like a retard out there. The bike wouldn't even wheelie." So,
man, that's
so
funny.
practice one after morning warm up for the second race, I gave the wheelie off button, and I guess he did some wheelies, but we didn't get a chance to try it in race 2, obviously.
So, practice 3, the broadcast anyway, for the longest time, for first good part of it showed Cam was listed in 7th, and I was like, I don't know if he came out and you guys were making changes or whatever. And Jake was 2nd for a long time. I didn't know what was happening there. But then he was out again, went up to 3rd, and then it looked like he wasn't out very long, and he went right back to the top.
Which session was this?
Practice 3.
Oh yeah. So in practice 3, we tried something with the front end, and basically took away his confidence. It was something that he's been asking for, and so he likes a soft front end, and so we softened the thing up. And normally when a guy's going that fast, you don't really go much softer. You always end up in the stiffer range. And so he's like, "Man, I really like soft front end. I really like soft front end." So I'm like, "All right, well, I don't feel like the front's going down where I want it to be." So we did that, and yeah, it made us back up a bit. I think we did finish first, but we were like you said, he was out there feeling it out. Plus, it rained the day before, and that evening, and so he felt like there was some slick patches still on the shady side of the racetrack, and so he was kind of taking his time and just didn't want to take any chances. So then for Super Bowl, we went back to the settings we knew and maybe went a little bit more in that direction, and boom, right in the 10s.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, 210. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was a couple seconds faster than the next guy. Like,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. One of his concerns was that, hey, I think the guys are getting too close to me. That's how driven he is. Like he's racing the clock against, like, he wants a gap. He's happy with a 2-second gap. He didn't want somebody to be in the same second range, basically.
One of the people on our, I posted a few promotions for this on Instagram. One of the guys was like, have you heard that people are talking that they should put a 20-pound thing on Cameron's bike to let everybody catch up?
Yeah. Well, it's called cheeseburgers.
Oh,
Lots of cheeseburgers and chocolate shakes.
chocolate shakes, yeah, peanut butter chocolate shakes.
Yeah. Well, I don't. That'd be okay if Schultz was murdering everyone and Jake was murdering everyone and everybody else at Yamaha was murdering everyone. But that's not the case. I mean, how can you punish? It's kind of like it was Batista last year.
Right.
He was killing everyone. They're like, "Oh man, the Ducati's unfair. It's so fast." But Chaz wasn't killing anyone. So Chaz was still back there in the pace, and then all of a sudden Batista fell off. So who knows how the season's going to go? It's still early. We might be one-track wonders. I doubt it, but so far I think we're doing pretty good. So I think it's a little too early to be thinking about punishing someone just because they're riding well.
Well, that's kind of like I think it's sort of a follow-up to what happened with PJ and the Superstar.
Yeah, they kind of
We
messed
talked
up.
about that briefly last time.
Yeah, they kind of messed up. I think PJ should be a Superbike rider. You know, I think those guys should step up and just commit to Superbike. Super stock racing is kind of cherry picking for those guys, to be perfectly honest with you. And so if they're gonna put 20 pounds on him to make sure that he's there, I guess that, yeah, I mean, I guess he got burned up, you know, PJ did, because like caught on fire or something happened. Really, that's awful.
Yeah, he got kind of messed up, and I guess he didn't make the race, right?
No, he didn't make it. So hopefully it didn't get too bad, but yeah, he had to jump off a burning motorcycle. So who knows what happened there?
Yeah. So okay. So race one, Cameron just does what Cameron does, right? Is kind of checked out.
Yeah.
I don't even think we really saw him on TV until like after the first 4 laps. It was all about Kyle and Tony going at it, right? You know,
yeah, Kyle and Tony.
Bobby.
Yeah, and Bobby, and and then Jake had a brake issue, and
he ran off and fell back. I didn't know what he ran off for. They said it on Sunday in the next race. For race 2, they said that Jake had some kind of weird brake thing.
Well, this COVID thing kind of bites everyone, right? So we're on rotors that basically, this is the 3rd season on them because they're from Yamaha's supply,
right?
The braking stuff. Braking is an Italian, Japanese Italian company, and they've been shut down for so long they haven't been able to get us our new rotors. Oh. So yeah, we don't really have a great history on the parts we're running. So if we have any issues with them, we kind of toss them out. There's a lot of them, but we don't know the exact history of these pieces because they're all hand-me-downs from last year. And I think he overheated a rotor. I think the rotor doesn't have as much grip as the other ones we've been using, and so it just happened to end up on his bike, and he overheated in the race, and the pad got hot and rotor got hot and the grip went away, and he just ran straight, and it took a few laps for the lever to come back. Lever came back to the bar, so it's pretty scary at a track where you're going 190 miles an hour constantly in the corner to have a lever come back to the bar. So I think he shit himself.
I wouldn't be surprised, dude. Like he looked more mad than anything.
Oh no, he was fine.
Just dang,
Yeah, he's one of the nicest guys to work with.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. Other than Cam getting the whole shot leading, I think Jake started out the race okay. Like he was in 4th-ish, I think. Oh no, that was race 2. So race 1, it's just like the old story of Cam checking out, and you don't see him again until the podium thing, right? Yeah,
race 1 was kind of like that. I think we finished by 8 seconds up or something like that.
Yeah,
so about a half to a full second a lap. And I think what's happening is he's just breaking the guy, whoever's behind him, and then after that he just goes and does his pace. But his pace is pretty fast. Like he can do 11s all race long at MotoAmerica when everyone else is doing 12s. So if he has to, he can do that. If he has to actually race someone, which that hasn't been the case yet. They might pass him going 1, and by 2 he's ahead and he's gone.
Yeah.
So that's been the
case.
Like
you said, it was good to see Bobby up there, kind of hanging in there a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I'd like to see the competition. It's good for the road racing world guys too. Chris, he was pretty happy.
So you said for race 2, you said that did both riders switch to the super soft tires or just Cam?
No, both guys did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, Jake did as well, and it produced a little tiny bit of chatter, but it was worth it overall with the amount of. He was struggling with finishing the corner. He's got a little bit of different setup than Cameron does. Actually, quite a bit different. It might not even be the same motorcycle. And so we gave him a little more rear steer and a little bit more quick steer in the front, and he was happy with that. And along with the combination of that red tire, and he was right there in the 11s the whole time, pretty much.
Yeah, that it definitely looked like Jake had found something. It's unfortunate Cam had that little moment there. I mean, one of the people asked if you looked at the data, how fast Cameron was going when he went off.
About 76 miles an hour. 120K, 127 miles an hour, 24K, yeah. Yeah, it was about like that, that apex of the corner. He had just cracked the throttle, same exact spot as the previous lap.
No
You know,
kidding.
just cracked it, and what happens is there's a big bump. It's not a little bump, it's a big bump right in the middle of the apex. I don't know if they have some drainage pipe or something going across there, but it produces a bump in the middle of the corner. And so when they cross over it, usually they'll just touch the rear throttle a little bit to lighten the front up. You just touch the throttle exact same spot and lighten the front up, but it went over the bump and didn't recover. Just skipped across it and then it fell down.
You know, it's your bike looks like it handled the crash pretty well too. That looked like a fast crash, and it's shocking how good the bike still looked after. So, like, what's that?
Yeah, he could have probably ridden it, but the laps are so long there. By the time he collected himself, got the bike picked up, I mean, you've lost 2 minutes, you've lost a lap. You're never
Right,
going to make it back up again. So I don't think we would have been in the points unless some people crashed out. Plus,
right.
the regulator got broken. It's on the left side of the frame. So I think
Okay.
it was running on total loss, so it was acting like a premature rev limiter when he went around. It would have taken us probably another lap to fix the motorcycle. By then we've been 2 down, so it wouldn't have been worth it. Send him out on a dirty bike, and plus we would have still had the points lead.
Yeah, I saw you give the signal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not running good, and so we're like, well, are there rocks in the intake, or did the generator take a hit, and is this thing going to go out and break something and then crash them out? I mean, all those things go through your head, right?
Right.
You're like, well, it's not. If we were second in the points, 5 points back, be like, put a wooden wheel on that thing, go around the racetrack. But no, that wasn't the case. I mean, we would have finished P1 anyway. We just gave up some points in number 2, which is Jake.
Right.
We're in a comfortable spot coming out of MotoAmerica.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So Jake, man, race 2, Jake looked like he came alive. I mean, he looked aggressive again, like he used to, goes out there and just, basically battled for the lead all the way to the end, right?
Yeah, there was only one section where he was struggling a little bit, and we talked about that after the race. I'm not his crew chief, so I don't have a whole lot of time watching him or his data.
Right.
So I try to give my input as much as I can.
Yeah, it looked like on TV. On TV, it looked like he was kind of opening up the entry to that carousel thing.
Yeah, he was ruining the carousel pretty much. He was really letting Bobby go right there, but he had him covered everywhere else, which was he would in the last 2 sectors. Same with Cameron. Bobby was really strong in that section, that third split, and same with Cameron. He would just leave Bobby in that next 2 splits.
Yeah.
But in that middle split, for whatever reason, maybe it's our bikes, maybe it's the way we have them set up. Something was causing us to be a little bit lacking in that. Didn't mean that Cameron couldn't pull the fastest lap, fastest segment out of there, but it was a little bit harder than the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, just on TV, that's, it looked like Jake would run him down and be right up on him, and then when they'd get to that section of the track, the gap would open up, and when they left the carousel, it would be like 4 bike lengths.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jake would go and get it back.
Yeah, you get it right back. I would see, after that split, he'd be down 4 or 5 tenths, and then they come down the front straight, he's 2 tenths back. He'd be right on him. He just couldn't. If he was able to close up the gap in that segment, then Bobby would have been done. He would have beat him, because you would have got him in the next 2 segments, and then that would have been it. Left him.
Yeah. So on the podium, I mean, Jake obviously was happy with being on the podium again, and a new team, new bike, and to go out and be consistently on the podium, it's got to be super stoked for him,
Yeah, I think so. I still think the other guys are that long break. They're still trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But I think that Bobby's starting to get there. I think he'll be one of the handfuls. I think Tony will eventually get there. So I think it'll be the 2 Yamahas or 3 Yamahas. I think Matthew will be fast.
And he is fast there, right?
Yeah, and he's fast with Road and I'm pleasantly surprised with Kyle being as fast as he is too. He's trying to jump on that motorcycle. So I think he'll show some potential the next few races as well. So we might
Ducati, that Ducati looks fast as hell.
It's really fast.
Yeah, maybe you guys should get some
What though?
winglets or something.
No, no, A, it's illegal and B, it's a Ducati thing right now. But I don't think Yamaha be too happy if we start putting Ducati winglets on our
You-
bodywork.
M1 winglets.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if they made that as an option, you know. I don't think you can even run it as long if you don't have it as an option from the factory.
Right.
That's the deal with Ducati. They
Yeah,
call
his bike comes with that stock, right?
yeah, they called it a safety option that adds front grip or something like that. You know, it's a safety go faster option.
Okay, so Mark Johnson asks a couple of things actually. He
I'm
wants
not going to answer that dude's question. He was already here today.
uh, you told him to save it for the show.
I did.
Yeah, so he says he wants more details on your engine cassette and other trick concepts that make sense on race day.
Well, there was a video I think that Schaffner did on the whole
Yeah.
cassette, but basically the reason for that is that we have a one bike rule. And so you have to run the same motorcycle basically the whole weekend, or you have to ask for permission to get on the second one. You got to start at the back of the grid.
Right.
A lot of rigmarole you got to go through. So having something you can change out very fast in an event of a crash where the engine gets damaged, or you know, a failure of some kind, or some unknown type thing that happens. So you can change it out basically in 25 minutes. So everything's on the engine, headers, radiator. I mean, you can see one of them here now. You know,
Yeah.
so there it is there, and it's ready to go. Water, oil, header. You basically put the thing up, 4 bolts for the engine, a couple plugs of electronics because the throttle's electronic as well. There's no cables. You throw a clutch cable on that thing, and the muffler. You're done. You know, so it's pretty damn easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was there when you guys were practicing with it, and was it like less than 10 minutes? You guys had an engine.
Engine.
Swapped.
Yes, motor's electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're talking about the starter motor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
you
you can do it.
swapped out in less than 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys could comfortably change it out, you know, 25, 30 minutes comfortably.
Right.
So that's, you know, with the sessions now that we're live, I think we've been running around 1 o'clock. So on Saturdays, you do morning warm up around 9, and then literally an hour later, or less than an hour later, you're doing Super Bowl, and then another hour and a half or 2 later, you're doing the race. So if you have a crash or something, man, you better be on the gas to get that bike turned back around. You may miss Super Bowl if you have a bad morning warm up. You know, if you have an engine failure, you could be, you know, missing the race if you don't have all your stuff together. You know.
Right. And then Mark's other question on a different post was he wants some more details on whether or not Cam and Jake's swing arms are different. You know, he wants to like what's the engine refresh cycle? Like how long do those things last?
We've been turning them around 1,500K. I mean, they'll last all season, but what happens is they'll start to slow down because we're revving them high. The guys are really riding them hard. You know, they're wringing their necks, right? So what happens is the valves eventually start to get a little pitted. You'll start losing a little bit of performance. As far as the safety of the engine, I mean, they'll last all season. But,
Right.
You know, you change oil and do all those things, but you know, we don't recommend doing that. We go about 1,500 kilometers, which is about 3 full race events per engine.
Okay.
So basically, you could do the whole season with about 4 engines.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
because you
it's
got
not like
10 events.
I mean, so you guys aren't actually swapping engines, you know, multiple times a weekend?
We're not like Suzuki. I think they were changing theirs. Like Yosh was changing theirs like twice a weekend because something up with a crankshaft or something like that, you know. Jeez. No, ours will go like the engine that Jake rode. He rode at MotoAmerica 1, and then we'll go to Ridge to test. We'll do 2 days on the same engine there, and then we'll service it or cycle it out. So, and then the engine that Cameron had, he crashed it, so we'll have to inspect that thing. But we'll run that thing at least at Ridge and maybe even Road Atlanta, based on how powerful it is. More than likely, we'll start with a fresh one for Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of questions from people. I'm just going to lump them all up into the
Sure.
same thing because it's
Sure.
basically the same set of questions. But
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of people asking me about to ask you about like how it is now, how different your bikes are now versus what you had built prior to that.
Not much. You know, the 2020 is the swing arms are different. We're on the next generation of swing arm. I think one of the guys was asking, how was Jake's swing arm versus Cameron's? Identical. They have identical motorcycles. We were on a World Superbike swing arm that they you know, thankfully sent over for us to test, and we found a little something in that swing arm, so we incorporated that into our swing arms of the next generation.
Right.
And so yeah, they're on identical equipment, both guys. And yeah, so what was the question?
Well, actually, I think you did tell me that the new bike actually makes a little bit less horsepower on the dyno.
No, that's not
you're
true
back?
anymore. No, we're good.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that was early. That was early.
Yeah, that was early on. You know, you get a brand new motorcycle and you're not fully into it yet. You're starting conservative because you're not sure where it's going to go, right?
Yeah.
So you start, I'm only going to mill this much off it. I'm only going to do this. And then at the end, we're like, screw it, go for the gusto. And
so the another question was about the oil thing. You know, the first round, you guys were kind of go gadget smoke screen, right?
Yeah.
You got
the peroxide rocket, man.
Yeah.
The peroxide rocket.
Peroxide rocket, yeah.
They made us take it out. Now we made a new baffling system for the race pan, and yeah, fucking awesome. Works great.
Yeah, I saw that at the shop actually. You did show it to me. It was like it was weird how you make that work, but hey, you know.
Yeah, it was actually similar. So we made some billet pans that we ran in 17 and 18, or no, 18 and 19 on Heron's and JD's bike. And we got a bunch of race kit stuff from Yamaha US when they moved the program over to us. And so we're like, okay, well, we have this race kit stuff, we'll run that. And we loaned out all of our stuff to the Westby guys.
Right. And
so we went back and reincorporated some of the same baffling our pans into the race kit pans. Yeah.
Well, your pan actually wouldn't work with the exhaust that you're using now, right? Like that's
same. No,
it
same.
Is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the same. Huh.
Yeah. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to machine a bunch of new stuff when you have, you know, real pans there. Yeah, we didn't expect those. We looked at the pans and like, hey, the baffle's kind of low in this one, and we'll see how it works. Got to work good. I mean, Vandermark and all those guys are using it. So I'm not sure if they have any more in their pans or if they have a next generation of one. But yeah, at least for MotoAmerica, that downhill section, it put a little bit, you know, it was a little bit more than I think the G forces and that downhill braking was a little tough on it.
Well, we didn't see any smoky bikes.
No, it turned out really good. Yeah, no.
And you know, aside from the weird button thing, basically no mechanicals either.
No real flaw. Oh, the button thing, and then of course we had the brake thing. But I mean that stuff happens with MotoAmerica, you know, not the button thing, but the brakes.
Yeah.
That place, and Jake is super aggressive on the brakes, which didn't help. He is not Mr. I'm going to be gentle with a lover. And he pulls that sucker so hard. I mean, he must just do like the squeezy exercises all day long, getting ready to brake. I think he was putting out like a couple times 16 bar on the front brake, where Cameron's like 9 or 10. You know, so he's grabbing the crap out of it, and that gets the heat up real fast. So that in combination with, you know, like I said, the rotors should probably had a little bit more time on than we would like. So we cycled those guys out, and yeah, next event he was fine.
Yeah,
he's actually cooked the fluid. You know, I mean, he put fresh fluid in there. He's made it brown like pretty much in a session. Yeah, he brakes really hard, and
well, it looks like it. I mean, he looks super physical on the bike.
You can see it on the data. You know, I mean, the brake pressure sensor doesn't lie. That thing is up there. So we had that, and of course, if you're gonna brake that hard, yeah, you better have brand new stuff.
So this guy is an engineer, and he this guy sent me an email with a lot of questions. We're
Oh,
gonna
really?
I'll ask a couple.
What does running a train have anything to do with it?
What?
So what does driving a train have anything to do with motorcycle racing?
Yeah,
Oh, different kind of engineer.
he doesn't have that. I don't know if this guy wears that funny hat and stuff and cover.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That's cool.
Okay, so he says that he'd like a deeper explanation of how adjusting the triple clamps feel to the rider, like faster tuning or faster turning, less trail versus more stable, more trail. But what about mid corner?
Yeah, so all those things are pretty subjective to the rider because of how he hangs off the motorcycle. Like for instance, we run less trail with Jake's bike, and every time we try to make him run more trail like Cameron likes, he doesn't like it. And so we've kind of ended up in one area. We're actually going to try some different rake numbers for Jake as well to maybe reduce trail a little bit more. But I've noticed that in the past, you know, empirically, I'm going to throw out an engineering term, that the taller riders seem to gravitate towards a little less trail, maybe the way they carry their mass. Whereas a guy like Cameron, he's more in the big trail number area. Same with JD. You know, the more trail you threw at him, I remember going to that big Pirelli World Superbike tire, and he was all about it. You know, and because it was a big fat tire and produced a lot of trail, and he liked the feel of it. And so, yeah, I think it's hard to explain from an engineering standpoint because every rider's a little different. So you pretty much max out the trail for the guy. If he doesn't like it, you start pulling it back. You know, so that's one way to go about it. Or you could go the other way and have the thing all nervous and twitchy like a little 600, and the guy will go slow until you add some trail to the thing. You know, so that's why the adjustability, the steering head angle, something we do for the Yamaha, that's pretty important. You know, anything from half to full degree of raked out to add trail. And the Yamaha seems to like that, as well as the offsets. So it's just a matter of the guy finding what he likes, and the faster they go, the more they change how they approach the corner. You know, so Jake is, I think he maybe rides a little more motocross than Cameron does, and so he might be a little on the inside of the corner hot, and then he's got to finish it up quick. So he wants something that steers relatively fast. And the other thing too is we have an adjustable swing arm pivot on the bike. So
Yeah.
with Jake, we add a little more rear steer as well. We did that for race 2. He seemed to like that, where Cameron's more like a 250 guy, you know, all hooked up, you know, in line.
Yeah, he's all hooked up in line, and Jake is backing it in, and
yeah. But it worked out good. And with Jake, you know, you have to, he likes to open the throttle as hard as he stomps the brake, right? So you have to be very careful how much torque you give him. So that's another thing that we control. And it's a little bit of different. Like one of the guys that we have is Paul, and he does a really good job, really smart guy. Worked with Yamaha for the last few years, and he's an electronics guy. And in the past, you know, they've run the things, like I said, more lively. And with Jake, I think you have to dumb it down a little bit so it doesn't, you know, take the tire off the rim.
Wow, you guys have to adjust the bike to make that guy happy, right? Because
well, you know, honestly, we have a lot of cut going into Cameron's bike as well. So big power isn't always the fast way around road race course. It's really usable power. Even if you hear Bobby's bike on TV or Tony's bike, you'll hear a lot of cut coming off the corner. And so this is why all the new bikes come with this stuff, because it's, you know, they're so freaking fast and there's so much grip. If you have full power, there's gonna be a lot of hurt people.
yeah, I mean, I remember the goofy remarks you made to me even years back about power modes on the R1. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm running power mode 1. Like, there you go. There's your problem, idiot. You know?
Too much power.
Yeah.
Around Chuck Walla.
Right.
That's a 250 track. There's no straightaways.
Right.
But, or how about the 3-wheeler thing? You turned all the TC off on.
Hey, you shut up.
You got a thumbs up on that one or what?
Nice. Way to throw that in there, Richard.
Well, you were talking about, you know, power. I think this thing needs more power. Dustin sailing through the air.
Yeah, it wasn't about the power, it was about the interruption. The
Oh, the
TC
cut
on
was
that
too
thing
much.
was so distracting.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like,
like ABS.
yeah, worse.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's turn that shit off.
Well, it's made for a guy riding on the rain.
Yeah, but in my defense, there was like a whole big pack of journalists in Europe around the same time, and half of them had the same crash.
Really? They were
Yeah.
all turning off their TC too?
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah, and they, I think Yamaha's put their foot down on that thing being on the racetrack after that.
It's not really a road race motorcycle.
No, that is
It's
a cool
it's like-
motorcycle though. I mean,
yeah, it's to go have some fun on it.
What?
Yeah, I rode it around the pit and the thing felt pretty neutral.
It's kind of, it feels like a motorcycle, but it's just cool because it has this apparatus on the front.
Yeah, it's got 4 forks.
Yes, and they're blue, which is yeah. So okay, so this guy says his background is he's got a track only FZ07 that he plans on racing. First time is out on a training course at Jersey. He said it took a lot of bar pressure for him to hold his line, and during the cool down lap, he stuck his leg out to indicate that he was getting ready to pull into the pits, and he said he almost ran off the track. He suspected that the bike didn't have enough trail. However, he didn't have race tires on yet, so he's hoping for a track day soon to test. Does the team run off the shelf exhaust systems? What, like, the guy is like all over the map with his questions.
We run Akrapovic system.
Yeah,
and they're just the best you could possibly ever buy, purchase, steal, whatever you want to do. There's nothing beats that system. Our system is so cool that the titanium system, I don't know what they coat it with, I gotta ask, but it doesn't turn colors. The thing looks brand new.
Really?
I showed you our exhaust pipe right now. It looks brand spanking new after.
Yeah, usually they turn blue.
They don't turn blue. Ours don't turn blue.
Really?
They're super light, super cool. Yeah, just everything's made super nice. The welds are really nice.
Something that average Joe could come into the shop and say, I want that?
Probably, if they have enough money. The systems that we get, I think they're pretty pricey.
Yeah.
But because they're the same ones the World Superbike guys have, but I'm sure those guys will sell it to them.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say, if they were going to take their bike to the Attack Performance, have it tuned or whatever, and they said, I want the same pipe that's on Jake and Cam's bike.
If it's a road race bike, we can put it on.
Yeah. Well,
if it's a street bike, we can't do it because of
we're in California, so.
California Air Resources Board.
Exactly.
The will come down and get us.
Right. So yeah. So this I'm talking about a club racer guy.
Yeah.
You guys could sell him that pipe. Obviously, you'd have to sell him the oil pan and stuff too, right?
Yeah, you need an oil pan for that particular pipe, but they make a street version of the same thing.
Oh,
which is used as a standard pan. So that's what we would more than likely sell them, unless they're hardcore. Then it depends on where they're riding. I mean, there's a lot of track day guys that would love to have that stuff. So it's all available. It just depends on how far they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you said your engine is fairly stock. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, be perfectly honest with you, we take them apart, measure the clearances, put them back together, put a Suter clutch in them, a Suter slipper clutch, and basically the Suter clutch is right off of their settings, what Cameron liked, and we drop in a set of we port the head, do a valve job on it, and we drop in a set of kit cams. That's it. That's the racing engine. That's it.
Everybody with an R1 should go Superbike racing then.
We have a bunch of those cams. They're drop-ins too. They actually work with the stock springs. The previous year, they used to you were required to buy a certain spring to go with the cams. So the cams were like $1,000 each, and the springs were or whatever they were, $1,200 or $1,300 plus the spring. So you're into it like $4,000 just in the valve train. And this year you just have to buy the cams only. So that saves you another G or $1,500. So it's a pretty good deal, and that's all we're using. Well, I
Yeah,
call
you got a set of those over there for me. I'm just waiting on our Superbike Unlimited guy to come up with some body work for my pile. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still riding around on the street body work on this thing, and it's all stock.
Man,
So,
Maurice, one of the guys on our team, is going to have a replica bike before you will.
probably, man.
But he's going to have a street bike body. We're painted the exact same colors.
That's cool.
Yeah, you're going to change yours up a little bit of lime. I can tell.
Well, I kind of like your paint scheme, but I think I need a little more bass boat metal flake.
Yeah, of course. Metal flake and more green.
Neon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a monster sponsor.
I already told what Matt's his name, right? The painter?
Matt, yeah.
Yeah, I already told Matt. I was like, dude, you got to do the bass boat thing. And I sent him a picture of a boat that I took at Bass Pro Shops.
The big thick metal flake.
I was like, dude, I want it to look like this.
Yeah. Okay, now you're getting dirty.
I'm sure he's gonna have fun with that. I guess we'll have to do some kind of leopard print seat or
oh man. Remember Joseph had that haircut when I first hired him?
Do what?
Remember Joseph had all that leopard?
No, his was actually Joseph was rocking the tiger stripes.
Tiger stripes, that's right. Because his old boss used to
he
have
worked
that.
he worked for the Tiger King.
Yeah, what the hell was his name again? Yeah, he died in an airplane wreck. Ted.
Yeah, Ted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, him and his wife died in an airplane crash. Yeah.
Yeah, they were they were good people, man, and they're kind of weird, and they did their tiger.
Wait. So, you said weird motorcycle racing and weird? That never happens.
Exactly. No, but they, when they would go racing, Joseph was the mechanic guy or whatever, and he'd run around, dyed his hair.
I saw. You're like, hey, you need to hire this guy. I'm like, this guy? You sure?
I think that's why he rides those KTM things still, because they're orange,
Yeah, but look I have an orange monster sitting here in case this program runs long. I can actually juice up a little bit.
Oh, just in case it runs long, or you have to go back to work all night.
I have to go back to work and finish up the Superbike that got smashed.
So what's up next for you guys? When's the next race?
Well, we have a test. And I guess we have some guest coming. Sponsor the team.
Oh,
maybe?
Really?
At Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not next week. The week after we'll be at Ridge. Was it the 14th and 15th? Just do a couple days there.
I'm at Laguna Seca the 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
And on Monday I fly to
Ridge
there to go play with you guys.
Yeah. Well, they tore down Chop, so you can't go hang out over there anymore.
Oh, damn it. Thought we were gonna go check that out, Richard. Get in the rental car, see what's up.
Yeah, I'm not going to Seattle. I'm gonna ride the semi, go right past Fort Lewis, and go to Olympia and get a room.
Yeah, I've got a room at the hotel.
I'm not going to Seattle. Forget that place.
Yeah.
That place was weird.
I'm flying into it.
That place was weird in the late 80s when I was at Fort Lewis.
Really?
And I'm sure it got weirder.
I mean, it looks weird in like the Austin, Texas weird kind of thing, except they don't have barbecue.
Yeah, Puget Sound, they had street fairs back then, and yeah, it was strange, a strange place. I mean, what's really weird is they got the suburbs, which are all normal, and then you got the real whack jobs downtown.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been, so it'll be fun.
It's like Austin.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, weird. Like when we were in Austin for COTA, you had the downtown area, which had the homeless and this and that, and real strange goings on, and people sleeping under bridges, and they think it's cool. And then you got the other side of town where you had the barbecue places you were at, and much more normal. At least the normal I'm used to.
Normal-ish.
Maybe that other thing's normal too, but it's not my kind of normal.
Like we're going there. So you guys, what's the plan to test at the Ridge, other than figuring out which way the track goes and get some data?
Well, I'll start with a little insight here. I'll do a Google map thing, and I'll draw the whole track on Google Map if I don't get a thing on the if I don't get a drawing from the track, and then I'll get all my distances down and I'll get all my sectors divided up before I go there. That way I
You
don't
know
have
what?
to
I'm
waste
gonna
any time.
ask that motorsports maps dude to hook us up with some maps for you guys.
Yeah, that'd be good. And
See if that
one with
dude,
distances, and corner radiuses and all that stuff.
Yeah, the guy, we did some maps for this private day we did recently at Button Willow, and he has all the tracks mapped out already.
Yeah.
And it's kind of broken down corner by corner, like
And distances, like overall kilometers.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's more of like a physical, like look at the map kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can get a regular map, but no, like when we went to that little track in Utah, no one had been on it except for Yosh. They went and did a little secret test, and bastards, they didn't invite anybody. But anyway, I had to draw. We had to learn it quick because it was a 2-day event too.
Yeah,
It was like a crazy 2-day event that was on a little tiny track we'd never been on. So I'm not gonna let that happen again. That was tough.
yeah.
JD really struggled.
Well, I mean, I watched a couple of YouTube videos of the track. It looks like a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Ken Hill did say that he was gonna offer a ride in the van or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I guess Chris.
I'll take him up on that.
Yeah, Chris contacted me, and maybe Bobby and Tony and SDK might come, but I don't know. They're coming from the other side of the country, so it might be a bit of a haul for them. I don't know
Right.
if John will poo-poo that idea, but I told him, yeah, no
Let's
problem.
say maybe they'll bring a street bike, you know. I mean, I know Bobby's been coming out to a couple of days on a stalker.
We're out of Ridge.
No, he came out to Button Willow with us on a
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think some of the guys have already been there, but Cameron hasn't, and I don't know. I think maybe Jake's ridden there already.
Yeah, I think Jake's been there.
Yeah, I think Kyle has been there,
Yeah.
and maybe Bobby's been there already. So a bunch of guys have already been there, and Cameron hasn't seen it at all. So it'll be interesting to see how fast he adapts, which I think it should be fine. I mean, a guy at that caliber, he sees a racetrack, he learns it like in a session.
Right.
And kind of like when we went to Pitt, and I hadn't been there, and Josh had never been there, and we ended up winning the thing. You know, so it isn't always that you go do a bunch of laps somewhere. If you have a quality rider and a quality crew, you'll figure it out quick. But we want to have a little insurance. We want to go out and, you know, figure it out in advance.
Well, plus you'll get, like I said, you'll get data too that you could, you know, work on the bike and see if you can make the thing better, right?
Yeah, I mean, that part's fine. I mean, you can figure that out during the sessions at the racetrack, but it always feels like you're a little bit rushed when you come to a brand new racetrack and okay, here's your first session is qualifying, next session is qualifying. Okay, it's Super Bowl, go race. You know, so you feel a little rushed if you've never been there. You know, you have gear, you're swapping sprockets and stuff like that in the first session.
Yeah.
Everyone else is pretty much hooked up. So I think that'll be good for that, figuring out the gearing, figuring out the different sectors, figuring out all the little stuff that kind of slows you down when you come back to race.
So the next race is what, Road Atlanta? Is that what you said?
Road Atlanta, yep.
No kidding. And when is that?
End of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's about almost a month apart, but we have that Ridge thing in between, so our schedule is pretty busy. And then after that, directly after that's Pitt. So it's Road Atlanta, and the very next weekend is Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you guys are just on the road.
Back to back, yeah. And then after that, we don't have much time. You know, we come back and then we're off again. So it's pretty fast schedule after this. After this break, it's a really fast schedule till the end of the year.
How do you handle servicing the bikes and stuff when you're on the road like that, back to back to back kind of thing? You just bring what you need in the rig or what?
I mean, yeah, we bring spare engines, we bring body work, we bring everything you need is in the semi. So, and like for instance, at Atlanta, the guys will stay the Monday, and we'll stay at Atlanta the Monday, and we'll work on the motorcycles. Then we'll pack up and drive to Pitt. And some of the guys will fly back home, or some of the guys will stay on the road for a couple more days and go to the next event. And so that one's I think the only back-to-back one this year. All the rest of them are going to be coming back home. So we'll be servicing here at the shop. So we'll rush back. Even from New Jersey or Indy, we're like going there, come back, going there, come back. So everything's is kind of, unfortunately, the way the whole crisis the pandemic made the schedule, happen. It isn't the 3 races on the road thing anymore. It's quite a bit, like enough of a gap between where you don't leave the semi on the road.
Right. Okay, so I got a couple more questions on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Tishan Thurman says, how does Cam win so easily?
He's talented.
Because he's Cam, right?
He's good.
Yeah, and then
he's super smooth, and he knows it looks smooth, but if you look at the actual throttle traces and the braking, he's pretty aggressive. Just the body movements are very smooth.
So Robert Johnson says, what will the next round of bike developments be? Setup changes for Road Atlanta. Like what are you going to do different there?
Well, we have new brakes and forks.
Okay.
So braking is going to have our new brakes for Ridge. And so with that, we'll be able to run the 2020 version of the Superbike fork. And so hopefully that we'll have a chance to proof that. We did ride that a bit with Brembo rotors at Buttonwillow, and Cameron liked it, and we found a configuration he liked.
Yeah.
A little bit better on the brakes. And we were always thinking, hey, we're going to be racing against Tony. And Tony was an animal on the brakes last year.
Yeah.
So if he finds his mojo again, he'll be that again.
Oh,
and
for sure.
So we need a bike that can stop, turn, and accelerate. Which is a strength for the Suzuki versus the Yamaha last year. So we'll work on that a bit, and we'll work on a little bit more power. We're always, can always not have enough.
More power.
Just like, not enough money, you have too much power. The corner is no good, but and on the straightaways, Atlanta has a pretty good straightaway where you set up somebody to pass. And so that's the only place I think we'll be trying to get some power.
So Sebastian Sanchez asked a couple of questions. You already answered one about the oil thing.
Yeah.
And he says, is the team doing any tests at TrackDaz events at Buttonwillow maybe?
No, we're done for the year after Ridge.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There's no time between the races. It's like a weekend off. You got to service the motorcycles.
Well, plus also like at our TrackDaz events, Josh Heron was super into coming out and riding at public events, but most of the Superbike guys aren't into riding with public TrackDaz.
Josh was into stunting at those events. He would go do wheelies the whole time. We didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
He never changed his bike. He just rode the crap out of it. It was a waste of time to test with him.
Wow.
He'll tell you that.
He was, and probably still is, like a pretty regular piece at public TrackDaz stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure
he's doing something in Colorado this weekend, I think. So, but yeah, so
as far as the Superbike goes, I think he likes to go have fun with the guys for sure. But as far as the Superbike went, we didn't really learn much.
Yeah, we've had I don't think we've had you guys out. I think you came and hung out once. I think that was about it.
Yeah, it's tough because we always have to beg you for sessions we can do to get really enough information. You have to go really, really fast, and it's kind of dangerous even with advanced level riders to go that fast.
Sure.
You don't want to be punting our customers. We're there to support our customers.
It was totally cool. I got punted by this pro guy.
My bike's all smashed. It's no good.
Right.
Or you go to a club race and take everyone's money and you piss them all off.
Well,
that's no good.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually had a rider that would do that.
That was Rapper.
Rapper
did not
the only guy that wouldn't pull off. He's like,
no, he does not.
My money.
No, he won't pull off. Like, it's my money. I earned it. I'm taking it.
Right on. Well, Richard, I think this is we're about an hour in.
All right, cool.
I think we're good.
Yeah. I didn't even crack open my Monster or anything.
Well, you got opportunity.
No, I gotta go get some sleep.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I didn't find out what that radiator behind you does.
This thing here,
What?
oh, that's a radiator. That's an oil cooler.
Yeah, like so it's not any like I mean it looks like Superbike piece, right?
Yeah, well, that's a Superbike engine. That's one of our cassettes.
Right. So it just keeps the thing cool. That's
Yeah, I mean, it runs the bike
Good.
cooler. You go to a track, which
it
is
looks cooler.
hot.
I mean, you know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an MB radiator. I mean, Fiber makes one, and H2O makes one. We ran H2O last year, running MB this year. It's the same basic model that it's a little more expensive than the Fiber or the H2O, but it does a good job. Yeah, it does a really good job keeping the oil cool. The most important thing is keeping the oil cool, keep the engine alive.
all right. So Robert Johnson says, do you shorten the bike for Road Atlanta?
I can't tell you that. That's a setup question.
I don't know.
No, we'll probably not. Probably, if anything, we might run longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, but yeah, there's those S's you go through. He's probably referring to that. But then you have a pretty good run down the back straightaway where you need the front wheel to stay down. So if you shorten the bike, it becomes nervous and twitchy and you know, might pick up a little bit of grip, it might pick up a little change direction, but at the end, the overall lap it isn't worth it.
All right. Well, I hope that answered everybody's questions. And Richard, it's been fun.
Give me something more challenging next time.
What'd you say? Challenge you? Yeah, give you something hard to talk about.
No, Mark Johnson was asking like, hey, why is the swing arm different? Is it like different thicknesses on one side versus the other?
He
That's a
didn't
question.
ask you for that.
He was asking me that today. I said, save it for the
Really?
show. Yeah.
See, I'm kind of butthurt now because like he didn't ask me that.
He must have forgotten. He probably picked up his bike and it was so fast, and he's like, oh, I forgot what my question.
Yeah, I mean he's been kind of complaining about his bike for a minute, so.
Oh yeah. Huh.
You know.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So okay. Well, yeah. I guess I'll see you in a couple weeks, right?
Yep. Up at Ridge. It'll be fun.
Actually, I'll see you tomorrow because I got to drop the bike off that you're taking for me.
I didn't call you dust off or anything this go around.
Not yet, but
I just did.
You just did. Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
See ya.